Snow lashes against Cleveland's darkened streets. A little girl in a red dress is shoved onto the porch, her small hands clutching a worn rabbit missing an ear. Her stepmother lifts a bucket and dumps freezing water over her head, calling it discipline. The cold bites her skin like knives. She trembles, barefoot, abandoned to suffer. But from the swirling snow, a German shepherd bursts forward with a warning growl, and a retired soldier races behind him. What happens next will tear open a secret buried with her father, and reveal a miracle no one saw coming.
Open the door!
Before we begin, tell me where you're watching from. And if you believe no child or loyal dog should ever face fear alone, hit subscribe now and share this story with someone who still believes in hope. Winter clung to Cleveland like a heavy gray blanket, cold enough to make breath look like frightened spirits escaping into the air. On a quiet suburban street, snow drifted in slow spirals, soft but merciless, coating every rooftop and railing with a layer of white silence. Yet on the front porch of a two-story beige house with black shutters, silence was shattered by the sound of a child's teeth chattering. Lily Parker, only 6 years old, stood barefoot in her thin red wool dress, its once cheerful color now darkened where icy water clung to the threads. She was a small girl with long chestnut brown hair, now slick and sticking to her cheeks, a few strands frozen into fragile lines. Her eyes, wide, hazel, and red from earlier tears, held a confusion that went beyond the cold. She tightly hugged a worn-out stuffed rabbit with one button missing, as if it were the only voice left willing to comfort her. Behind her stood Monica Hale, the woman who had become her stepmother only a year ago. Monica was the kind of woman whose beauty seemed carved rather than grown, tall, slender, and meticulously polished. Her wavy blonde hair was pinned in a perfect twist, and her camel-colored designer coat hugged her body like it was made for her alone. Her icy blue eyes, sharp as glass, held none of the softness that normally warms a child's world. Monica was 34. A perfectionist by nature, but rotten with resentment, the kind that festers when life doesn't grant someone the grandeur they believe they deserve. In her hand, Monica gripped a metal bucket filled with chunks of ice and freezing water. Without hesitation, she raised it and poured the entire bucket over Lily's small head, an avalanche of biting cold that smacked the breath out of the little girl. Lily gasped, her lips turning a deeper shade of purple as the water soaked through her dress and slipped down her trembling legs, chilling bone and hope alike. Monica's voice sliced through the winter air with a cruel calmness. "You are not family, Lily. Inside is for those who belong." Her lips curled with a bitterness that felt older than her marriage. The truth was simple. Monica despised Lily because Lily reminded her too much of Ethan Parker, Lily's late father, a man whose heart Monica could never fully possess, no matter how fiercely she tried. That jealousy had grown into a twisted justification for punishment. Standing behind Monica inside the doorway was Derek Cole, her boyfriend, a broad-shouldered man in his late 30s with a square jaw, shadowed by a few days of black stubble. He had thick eyebrows that slanted downward, giving him a permanent look of cynicism. His heavy boots left wet footprints on the hardwood floor behind him. Derek enjoyed control, especially over those smaller than him, and the smirk tugging his lips made it clear that he found this display entertaining. He leaned against the doorframe lazily, as if this cruelty were routine. "Little brat should learn her place," Derek muttered, voice deep and rough like gravel. His eyes held no empathy, only annoyance at the inconvenience of a child's existence. The door shut. Warmth stayed inside. Lily stayed outside. Her tiny shoulders shook, and for a moment, she wondered if the cold could erase someone, if she could simply disappear like a snowflake melting on a window. Her breath came shallow and fast. She tried to remember the warmth of her father's arms, the way he called her his little red star, because she loved this very dress. The memory felt distant, like a fire that had burned out long ago. She whispered into the rabbit's one-eyed face, the words trembling off her lips. "Daddy, I'm trying to be brave." Down the street, a figure trudged forward through the snow, boots sinking into the soft blanket covering the sidewalk. A man, older and slightly hunched from years of strain, moved with steady purpose. His name was Sam Turner, a retired U.S. Marine in his early 60s, with graying hair and a thick beard peppered with white. Sam's deep-set brown eyes had once seen too much war, too much injustice, enough to leave shadows that never truly lifted. His heavy olive-green coat was frayed at the sleeves, evidence that the uniform of service leaves marks long after the medals fade. Beneath the sternness of a soldier, however, lived a heart that had never stopped wanting to protect. Trotting beside him was Rusty, a 3-year-old German shepherd with sable fur and a proud stance. One ear bore a small tear, a souvenir from his last mission before he retired from K-9 duty. Rusty's amber eyes were sharp but gentle whenever he looked toward the vulnerable. He was loyal the way legends are, without conditions. Sam's gaze narrowed the moment he spotted the scene on the porch. Lily shaking violently, the empty bucket still clattering on the wood. His heart lurched. Memories flooded in. Children he'd seen harmed in places torn by conflict. Cries carried by sandstorms and gunfire. He had promised himself never again to stand by when a child was in danger. Rusty let out a low growl, sensing distress. "I know, buddy," Sam murmured, tightening his jaw. "We've got to help her." As if driven by the same instinct, man and dog began to run, boots pounding on snow, paws kicking up white powder, heading straight toward the little girl in red who had been abandoned to the winter. And for the first time in hours, Lily lifted her frozen eyes and saw hope coming through the snow. Sam Turner's boots pounded up the frozen steps, Rusty surging ahead until his massive paws slid slightly on the ice-coated porch. Lily Parker stared up at them through watering eyes, breath trembling in swift little gasps that hung in the air like shattered fog. Her tiny hands clung harder to the soaked stuffed rabbit, as though afraid that even this last possession could be stolen away. Sam lowered himself into a crouch in front of her, grunting quietly as old muscles protested. He tried to soften his deep brown eyes, masking the instinctive anger burning hot beneath the surface. Years ago in war zones, he had seen children harmed by cold, violence, and cruelty. But seeing it here, in a peaceful Cleveland neighborhood, this stirred something even deeper, a fury mixed with grief. Rusty leaned his warm body against Lily's legs, his breath a comforting rhythm. The dog was alert but protective, tail stiff and ears pricked. Sam removed his wool scarf and wrapped it gently around her shoulders, knowing it wasn't nearly enough, but desperate to give her some piece of warmth. The scarf smelled faintly of pine, leather, and old memories. "Hey, sweetheart," Sam said, voice low and steady. "You're okay now. I promise." Lily's lips parted, but no sound came, her voice swallowed by the cold and fear coiled tight inside her. Sam glanced at the house, fists clenching, when he saw the curtain shift and then fall still. He knocked, firm, controlled, but the door remained shut. Cowards, he muttered under his breath. Sam pulled his old flip phone from his coat pocket. His fingers were thick and marked by calluses that showed the years he spent gripping weapons instead of gentle things. He punched in the numbers for emergency services. "Yes, police and child welfare," he said shortly. "A child is being abused. No, I'm not leaving her side." Rusty gave a low, approving rumble. Within minutes, the distant rise of sirens grew louder, cutting through the winter's hush. Lily startled at the sound, shrinking slightly. Sam rested a gloved hand on her damp hair. "They're coming to help," he assured her, though he wasn't entirely sure yet who could be trusted. When the squad car arrived, it rolled to a careful stop, red and blue lights painting the snow in frantic colors. 2 officers stepped out. The first was Officer Michael Hayes, mid-30s, with an athletic build and light stubble across a square jaw. His dark hair was neatly trimmed, and his eyes, a resolute green, carried a balance of firmness and empathy. A scar angled slightly beneath his right eye, barely visible but enough to hint at a past incident he rarely spoke about. Michael approached with cautious calmness, reading the situation not just with training, but with instinct. He had once been that child who feared coming home. Those nights still echoed in his bones, and he swore he would never let another child face danger alone. Beside him walked Officer Ryan, Cooper, late 20s, a tall man with sandy hair peeking out from beneath his beanie. He looked younger than he wished he did, still holding on to some sense of idealism that hadn't yet been weathered away. His movements were quick, alert, and respectful as he surveyed the scene. Michael knelt near Sam, eyes moving from Lily's soaked clothing to the bucket's remnants frozen on the porch. "Sir," he said gently, "did you witness what happened?" Sam nodded. "She poured a whole bucket of ice water over her, then left her out here like trash." Michael's jaw clenched. Ryan's face twisted with disbelief. "Who's inside?" Michael asked. "Her stepmother and some boyfriend," Sam replied. "Neither of them should be near her." Ryan tried the door. Locked. He knocked sharply. "Police! Open up!" Silence. Sam held Lily closer to his side, shielding her from the wind funneling between houses. She leaned against him, trembling, finally giving way to soft sobbing that broke Sam's heart wide open. Michael removed his thick duty jacket, placing it around her shoulders on top of Sam's scarf. "Lily, right?" he asked softly. She nodded once, barely. "You're very brave. We're going to keep you safe." Rusty stood like a sentinel, his presence grounding the fragile moment. Michael radioed for a child services representative to meet them at the station. One more look at the house told Sam everything he needed to know. Predators lurked behind that locked door, but tonight they would lose their prey. Michael scooped Lily gently into his arms as Ryan opened the back door of the cruiser. Rusty hopped inside first, settling on the seat to make room for the child beside him. Sam moved toward the car, but paused when he noticed Lily's eyes turning toward the house. Fear, hope, confusion, all swirling into something too heavy for a little girl to carry. "Hey," Sam said softly, adjusting his old military cap. "You're not alone anymore." And as the doors closed and the car pulled away, Lily pressed her face into Rusty's fur, finding warmth, safety, and a heartbeat that promised she mattered. Inside the warm interior of the police cruiser, the heater blew air thick with the scent of vinyl and old coffee. Snow swirled outside the windows, but inside there was a fragile bubble of safety. Lily Parker pressed into Rusty's fur, the German shepherd curling protectively around her like a shield forged of breath and heartbeat. Officer Michael Hayes drove with both hands gripping the wheel, eyes flicking between the road and the rearview mirror. A silent vow weighed in his chest, one he had whispered in many forms before. No child suffers on my watch. Ryan Cooper rode beside him, shoulders tense, glancing back every few seconds. The young officer's brows knit together as he observed Lily's unmoving, stunned expression. He wanted to say something comforting, but feared clumsy words might do more harm than silence. Sam Turner sat in the passenger seat behind Ryan, knees stiff from the cold and age. His gaze remained fixed on Lily. He had been a soldier long enough to recognize the aftermath of shock, the way a person turns inward, as if hiding from the world inside their own ribs. He knew her tiny heart was fighting to believe that rescue was real. The cruiser pulled into the Cleveland Police Department, a sturdy brick building with lights glowing against the snowy dusk. As the doors opened, a gust of winter followed them inside. The lobby hummed with fluorescent brightness and the faint sound of phones ringing somewhere deeper in the maze of rooms. Waiting near the front desk was Anna Brooks, the child services worker assigned to the case. Anna was in her late 20s, petite yet grounded in posture, with dark curly hair loosely pinned back and warm bronze skin. Her brown eyes held a soft alertness, the kind that noticed pain instantly but approached gently. She wore a burgundy sweater and a blue lanyard with her ID clipped neatly, someone who navigated bureaucracy for the sake of children who couldn't. When she saw Lily, her heart clenched. She knelt, keeping her voice calm and melodic. "Hi, Lily. I'm Anna. I'm here to make sure you're safe and warm, okay?" Lily blinked, then nodded slightly. Rusty stood close, tail still but gaze watchful. Sam stepped forward, clearing his throat. "She needs warmth now, a blanket, something hot to drink." Anna nodded, motioning them toward a nearby interview room. "We'll take care of her." Inside, the room was small. Gray walls, a table bolted to the floor, 2 simple chairs, and a box of tissues waiting like a quiet invitation. Anna brought a fleece blanket and draped it over Lily's shoulders. The girl's trembling softened, not gone but eased. Michael leaned against the wall, arms folded, watching every interaction with an intensity fueled by protective instinct. Ryan slipped out briefly and returned with a cup of warm cocoa, real marshmallows floating on top. Lily hesitated before taking it, her tiny fingers wrapping carefully around the paper cup, while Lily drank in small, cautious sips. Anna spoke with Sam and the officers outside the room, voices low. "We'll need background information," she told them. "Has Lily said anything about how long the abuse has been happening?" Sam shook his head slowly. "She's too cold and scared to speak much yet." His voice held an edge, guilt perhaps, that he had arrived only today. But the fear in her eyes, it's not new. Anna sighed, a quiet sound that carried frustration toward a world too comfortable with hurting children. "We'll proceed step by step," she said. "She'll need medical evaluation, and we'll have to investigate her father's death more closely." Michael's jaw tightened. "I want that house searched. Abuse like this, it never stands alone." Ryan tapped something on his tablet. "Already requesting a warrant." Inside the room, Lily stared down at the stuffed rabbit resting in her lap. Its button eye glimmered in the harsh light, and she clutched it like a lifeline. Rusty nudged her hand occasionally, grounding her. Anna entered and gently sat beside Lily. "Sweetheart, do you remember what happened tonight?" Lily's breathing quickened. Sam entered, taking a slow seat across from her. "You're safe now," he said, voice rough around the edges. You can tell us anything. Silence stretched. Then Lily whispered, each word a tremor. She said, I'm not family. Anna's chest prickled with anger, not outwardly, but deep inside where empathy fuels resolve. Monica is wrong, she said softly. You matter. Lily looked up, eyes glassy but searching. Will she come get me? It was Sam who answered, steady as bedrock. No, she's not coming anywhere near you, not anymore. A small shift happened then, subtle as thawing ice. Lily's shoulders lowered a fraction. She believed him, maybe not fully, but enough to breathe one unbroken breath. Michael stepped in. We'll take your statement tomorrow. Tonight, you rest. He glanced to Anna. Make sure she's placed somewhere secure. Anna nodded. I'll coordinate emergency foster placement. Her gaze turned toward Sam. Unless there's someone she already trusts? Sam didn't expect his name to fill the air, but when Lily's gaze clung to him like gravity, the answer was made before spoken. Rusty lay his head on her knee, a silent vow. For now, that was enough. And outside, the snow kept falling, but inside this room, warmth had begun to take root. Night settled cold and heavy around the Cleveland Police Department, the windows reflecting streaks of snow like falling shards of glass. Inside the small interview room, the air had grown quieter. Lily Parker sat wrapped in Sam's thick scarf and Michael's duty jacket, her fingers gently combing through Rusty's fur. Each slow movement of her hand helped anchor her to the moment, to the understanding that harm was no longer inches away from her skin. Officer Michael Hayes stood near the door, arms crossed loosely, though tension still framed his posture. His dark green eyes were locked on the hallway, ready for any threat the night could still deliver. Memories flickered behind those eyes, nights he escaped his own abusive home when he was barely older than Lily. He swallowed the old ache down, reminding himself, he was the grown-up now. He was the protector. Anna Brooks returned carrying a manila folder pressed against her chest. She looked calmer now, but her heart was beating fast with grim urgency. We've reviewed preliminary notes about Lily's father, she said as she stepped into the room. His death certificate listed cardiac failure. She paused, her gaze sweeping over Lily before settling on Sam. But there were inconsistencies. Fast decline. Symptoms not typical of his medical history. Sam's jaw locked. Poison? The word was sharp, spat out like a bullet. We can't say yet, Anna replied, though worry passed through her eyes like a lightning shadow. But the timing, the new insurance beneficiary, and now this. Abuse escalating after his death. She didn't need to finish the thought. The truth sat between them anyway. Ryan Cooper entered moments later, carrying Lily's small red backpack sealed in an evidence bag. The young officer rested a hand on the back of his neck, expression puzzled. This was found in the living room, far from where a kid would leave something she uses daily. He set it gently on the table, like someone hid it. Lily looked up, fear renewing in her eyes. Sam gave her a reassuring nod. It's okay, he said. Let's see what's inside. Michael unsealed the bag and carefully emptied the contents onto the table. A crayon box, a tattered notebook with doodles of stars and a smiling man, her father, clearly drawn by a child who loved him fiercely. A silver heart-shaped necklace. Anna lifted the necklace delicately. The back had faint engravings. To my brave star, Love, Daddy. Lily's voice trembled but emerged. He gave it to me the week before he went away. She clutched Rusty's fur tighter, voice cracking. He said, if I get scared, I should never take it off because the truth is always close. Sam inhaled sharply, grief tightening his chest. He knew something was wrong, he murmured. He tried to protect her even when death was closing in. Michael opened the small notebook gently. Amid Lily's childlike drawings were 2 pages filled with adult handwriting. Sharp, hurried script belonging to someone desperate. The first line delivered a sting straight to the chest. If I die, it was not my heart. Ryan's eyes widened. That's a direct accusation. Below that, more words sprawled across the page. She wants control. It's all about the insurance. If anything happens to me, protect Lily. She is everything. A short, shaky breath escaped Lily. Daddy tried to tell. Her voice evaporated into a whisper. Rusty pushed his muzzle under her hand, consoling through presence more than sound. Anna leaned closer, keeping her tone soft. Lily, do you remember what happened the night your dad got sick? The memory hit Lily like a cold wave. Her small shoulders tensed, and tears pooled along her lashes. But she fought not to retreat this time. They had wine, she whispered. Derek poured it. Daddy tasted it and said it smelled wrong. Her fingers tightened into the blanket. Then he yelled. Monica slapped me and said to go upstairs, go away. I heard Daddy coughing. Coughing. Her breath hitched. Then a big crash. Sam closed his eyes briefly, anger building under his ribs like a storm. When he spoke, his voice was low, trembling with a promise that carried the weight of a soldier's oath. They killed him. Michael straightened, professional resolve igniting into something sharper. This is no longer suspicion. His voice was iron. We have probable cause to launch a full investigation. Insurance fraud, homicide, child abuse. Ryan nodded stiffly. We'll request autopsy review and toxicology. Exhume if necessary. The fluorescent light flickered above them, but inside the room something brighter took root. Purpose. Anna brushed a gentle hand over Lily's hair. You're very strong, she said. You helped us understand what really happened. Lily looked unsure. But I'm just a kid. I wanted to help Daddy, but I couldn't. Sam moved closer, kneeling so his face met her eye level. Listen to me, little star, he said, using her father's nickname. You already saved him, because now the world will know the truth. He isn't gone in silence. His voice thickened as he added, and you're not alone anymore. Rusty's tail tapped once against the floor, a soft drumbeat of hope. Outside, the storm kept raging, but inside, a fire had lit itself inside every soul in that room. They would not stop. They would not fail. For Ethan Parker, for Lily, for the truth. Snowfall thickened around the Cleveland Police Department, muffling the city in a blanket of white that made danger feel deceptively distant. Inside the dim break room, the fluorescent light hummed with a tired flicker. Sam Turner sat stiffly in a metal chair, hands wrapped around a styrofoam cup of coffee gone lukewarm long ago. His fingers shook slightly, not from age but from the adrenaline still simmering in his blood. Across from him, Michael Hayes leaned against the counter, scrolling through his phone to coordinate next steps in the investigation. His brow was knitted with concentration and anger he kept tightly leashed. Meanwhile, Lily Parker rested in a temporary bed in a private observation room down the hall. Rusty curled protectively beside her, his head resting near her hand, body rising and falling with each patient breath. The dog's sable coat reflected the small lamp's glow, a reminder that Lily was under watch of something loyal, fierce, and wholly devoted. Anna Brooks stepped into the break room, her cheeks still flushed from brisk movement around the station. She carried a clipboard pressed against her burgundy sweater. Despite exhaustion beginning to soften her features, her posture remained upright, a quiet resilience shaped by witnessing too many small tragedies. "Lily is asleep," she announced softly. "Rusty hasn't left her side." Sam allowed a thin smile to pull at his beard. "He won't. He knows what's at stake." Before Anna could reply, footsteps echoed down the hallway. A man approached, a detective many officers seemed to stiffen around. Detective Charles Grant, mid-50s, tall and built like a brick wall, with a salt-and-pepper mustache framing a stern mouth. His navy trench coat was dusted with snowflakes that melted slowly into dark patches. His eyes, a sharp storm gray, spoke of decades spent tracking darkness through alleys and broken homes. Tough as he appeared, there was a weight behind his gaze, a tiredness earned through too many encounters with cruelty. He joined the group with a nod. "Grant," Michael greeted him, straightening slightly. "Thanks for coming in so late." "I heard enough to know this one isn't getting pushed to morning," the detective replied, voice gravelly. He tapped the folder under his arm. "Medical examiner's team will start immediate review of Ethan Parker's records. If they confirm poisoning, we get a warrant before sunrise." Sam's shoulders relaxed, but only slightly. Justice was moving forward, but slowly, as if crawling through the same snowstorm beyond the windows. Then the station entrance buzzed open. Michael's instincts snapped alert. He moved toward the front lobby, hand resting on the holster of his sidearm. Grant was right behind him, posture turning as solid as concrete. The front doors parted, letting in a blast of cold and two uniformed officers escorting Monica Hale. She looked entirely different from the polished, icy woman Sam had seen hours earlier. Her designer coat was buttoned tight, her blonde hair tucked beneath a stylish beret, but her expression carried a new ingredient: panic. Her eyes darted around the lobby, searching for Lily, for control, for lies bold enough to save her. Behind her walked attorney Vincent Kessler, a slick man in his early 40s with a crow-black suit and an expensive silk scarf draped loosely around his neck. His dark hair was combed sharply to the side, and his smile was thin, an insincere curve practiced to win in courtrooms rather than hearts. He radiated arrogance, the kind that blooms from money and the certainty that the world is negotiable. Kessler raised his voice before anyone else could speak. "My client wishes to see her stepdaughter. You have no grounds to keep them apart." Michael's jaw clenched. "She is under protective custody." "And for what cause?" Kessler countered, stepping forward confidently. "A child being disciplined? Hardly criminal." Detective Grant positioned himself between them like a barrier. His voice emerged like thunder controlled by steel. "We have witness accounts and visible injury on the child. You won't be seeing her tonight." Monica finally spoke, her voice fraying around false concern. "Lily needs me. She must be terrified without someone she knows." Sam stepped from behind Grant, his presence suddenly filling the hallway. "She was terrified because of you," he growled. Monica's eyes widened upon seeing him, shock flaring into annoyance, then something sourer, fear. You're that old man who stuck his nose into saving a little girl about to freeze to death." Sam cut sharply. Rusty, sensing tension, peeked around the corner and released a single low growl. The animal understood predators even when they smelled like perfume and cologne. Officer Ryan Cooper approached, carrying paperwork. Monica Hale, until further notice, you are barred from contact with Lily Parker pending investigation. He handed Kessler the documents. You're welcome to challenge it in court. The attorney's jaw tensed, but he slid into a composed smirk. Oh, we will. And when we win, I'll personally ensure disciplinary action against every one of you who mishandled this case. Grant's expression didn't change, but his silence was louder than any threat. Monica's gaze flicked toward the hallway, where Lily slept beyond reach. For a fleeting second, raw fury twisted her refined features. Her hand curled into a fist inside her coat pocket. It was a vow. It was a warning. Then she turned sharply and exited with her lawyer behind her. As the doors shut and snowflakes swallowed them from sight, Sam exhaled, long and heavy. She'll come back. Yes, Detective Grant said, which is why we'll be ready. And in the observation room, Rusty lifted his head, ears pricking, sensing the storm that wasn't outside but coming right toward them. Morning light crept over Cleveland like a shy visitor, its pale rays pushing through the blinds of the police station's observation room. Lily Parker stirred awake beneath a fleece blanket, her small hands instinctively reaching for Rusty, who lay curled beside her like a guardian carved from fur and loyalty. The dog's amber eyes opened the moment she moved, his ears lifting before his tail gently brushed against her arm, as if to say, "You're still safe." Sam Turner waited just outside the door, arms folded tight across his chest. Exhaustion tugged deeply at the lines around his eyes, but he remained upright, like a watchtower refusing rest while danger still lurked. He had spent the night in a plastic chair, fighting sleep as if closing his eyes might somehow take protection away from Lily. Officer Michael Hayes approached with 2 steaming coffees and a warm breakfast sandwich wrapped in paper. He set 1 cup beside Sam without a word. They shared a moment of quiet, warriors in different battles, united by purpose. She slept through? Michael asked. Mostly, Sam replied gruffly. She whimpered a few times. Rusty helped. He paused, voice lowering. She carries more fear than a child ever should. Michael nodded, that familiar ache twisting inside him. We won't let her go back to them. As they spoke, Detective Charles Grant strode into the hallway, snow still melting from the shoulders of his trench coat. He held a thin stack of printed documents, preliminary results from the medical examiner. His expression was carved from stone. It wasn't heart failure, he announced. Traces of a strong anticoagulant in the blood sample. Someone thinned Ethan Parker's blood enough that a minor internal bleed could have killed him. His jaw flexed. That someone ensured it would. So the poisoning theory holds, Michael said, voice sharpening. More than holds, Grant replied. It screams. Before any further discussion, Nurse Evelyn Clark arrived, pushed through the doors by a patrol officer. She was a woman in her late 40s, tall and slightly rounded, with red hair tied in a loose bun and freckles scattered across skin that seemed perpetually flushed from rushing between duties. Her brown eyes flickered with remorse and anxious resolve. She clutched her coat closed around a floral blouse, stepping carefully into view like someone frightened of being seen, but more frightened of staying silent. Grant recognized her immediately. You cared for Ethan Parker during his final days. Yes, Evelyn whispered, voice trembling. I didn't want to get involved, but I need to tell the truth." She wrung her hands together nervously. His decline was too fast. I saw Monica give him a glass of wine even when the doctor ordered against alcohol. Ethan argued, said it tasted bitter. Tears welled. The next morning he was gone. Sam let out a quiet curse under his breath. "Did you report any of this?" Michael asked gently. Evelyn shook her head, shame burning across her cheeks. "Monica threatened to get me fired. And Derek, he scared me." She wrapped her arms around herself. "But I can't keep quiet anymore. Not after what she did to that little girl." Grant's eyes softened, just barely, but his voice stayed direct. "Your statement will help put them away." Evelyn nodded, standing a little straighter. A sudden crash echoed from the front entrance. Michael reached instinctively for his weapon. Rusty's bark erupted behind the door, a booming warning that cut through the air. Sam yanked the door open, and Lily rushed out, alarm in her eyes. "What is it?" she cried, clutching her blanket and peering up at Sam. Rusty remained bristled, posture fixed toward the hallway. Ryan Cooper jogged toward them from the lobby. "We've got a suspect fleeing the parking lot," he yelled, breath fogging in the cold air behind him. "Someone's been lurking outside, watching the station. When I spotted him, he bolted." Grant didn't hesitate. "Michael, with me. Sam, stay with Lily." Michael was already running, following Grant through the sliding glass doors and into a gust of freezing wind. In the lot, deep footprints punctuated the fresh snow, leading toward the side street. Tire tracks scratched into the slush showed a vehicle had sped off moments earlier. "Derek," Michael breathed, fury pouring into every syllable. Grant pulled out a folded piece of paper, a printed image of Derek Cole's mugshot. Strong jaw, dark stubble, cold eyes. Dangerous, determined. "He's not giving up," Grant growled. "He's hunting." They followed the tracks as far as they could until they disappeared into traffic's churn. Sirens flared from another cruiser joining the search, but the morning swallowed Derek like a beast protecting a predator. Back inside, Anna Brooks wrapped Lily in a warmer jacket she'd brought from a donation closet. "We're moving you to a safer location," she said softly. "Somewhere Monica and Derek cannot reach you." Lily grasped Sam's hand tightly. "Will you come too?" Sam's heart softened like thawing ice. "I'm not leaving you. Not now, not ever." Rusty nudged her leg firmly, sealing the vow. Grant returned, stamping snow from his boots. "Derek is desperate," he said, "and desperate men are dangerous." Michael added, "Which means we don't wait for him to make the next move." Sam nodded, spine straightening with purpose. "Then we take the fight to him." But Lily's small hand tugged his. "Sam?" she whispered. "Daddy said the truth was close. Does that mean he's close too?" Sam looked down at her, this little girl who still carried her father's hope in trembling shoulders. He knelt to meet her gaze. "He's here," Sam said, tapping her heart gently. "And we're going to finish what he started." Outside the Shahakon, storm eased, but the war had only just begun. The safe house sat nestled among tall pines dusted with fresh snow, the branches bending slightly beneath winter's quiet weight. It was a cozy two-story cabin built of warm cedar wood, smoke drifting lazily from the chimney, as if the house itself exhaled, relieved to welcome new souls in need of shelter. Warm light glowed from its windows, turning the surrounding dusk a softer shade of blue. For Lily Parker, that first sight felt like a small miracle. Agent Harper Lewis guided Lily, Sam, and Rusty into the living room. The heat from the fireplace wrapped around them instantly. The room was modest but welcoming. Plaid blankets draped over the couch, books stacked unevenly on shelves, and a framed painting of a lake shimmering at sunrise on the wall. Waiting inside was the foster couple assigned to them, Martha and Henry Collins. Martha was in her early 60s, with silver-streaked brown hair cut to her shoulders and soft lines around her hazel eyes, lines carved from a lifetime of both laughter and heartbreak. She wore a knitted cream sweater and wool skirt, hands folded as though holding warmth she was ready to give away. Martha radiated calm, a motherly steadiness that instantly eased tension. Beside her stood Henry Collins, a retired schoolteacher in his mid-60s, tall and a little round in the stomach, his gray beard trimmed neatly. His glasses hung from a cord around his neck, and his deep voice carried the kind politeness of a man who'd spent years encouraging timid children to speak up. His right knee was stiff, an old injury from coaching high school football, but he stood strongly despite it. "Welcome," Martha said softly, kneeling slightly to meet Lily's height. "We're honored to have you here." Lily hesitated but then gave a tiny nod. She held the lavender coat tightly closed as if afraid kindness might vanish like breath in cold air. Rusty pressed against her leg, his tail wagging once, just enough for Lily to feel a nudge of courage. Henry chuckled warmly. "Looks like we've got ourselves a brave protector too," he said, offering Rusty a respectful nod as if addressing a fellow guardian. The dog accepted the greeting with a proud blink. Sam watched closely. Trust wasn't given easily for him either, not after a lifetime of watching people fail those who needed them most. But something in the way Martha's eyes softened when Lily looked at her. It loosened a knot inside him he didn't realize he'd been holding all day. Harper gave a quick briefing, handing paperwork to Henry. "I'll be checking in," she said. "This place is secure. Alarms, cameras, regular patrols. But stay cautious. Derek Cole is still out there." Sam's jaw tightened at the name. He had faced men like Derek before. Men who confused fear for power. Men who underestimated the strength of those who survived. After Harper left, Martha showed Lily the bedroom prepared for her. The room smelled like lavender and fresh linens, decorated with gentle touches, star-shaped stickers on the wall, a plush rug by the bed, and a nightlight shaped like a little fox casting a soft glow. On the bed lay a new stuffed animal, a white bunny with floppy ears. Lily looked at it, unsure if she was allowed to take it. "It's yours," Martha said. "Every child who comes here gets something new to cuddle, something that's only theirs." Lily clutched her old stuffed rabbit in one hand and touched the new bunny with the other. For the first time in what felt like forever, she whispered, "Thank you." The words came out thin and shaky, yet sincere. Martha's eyes glistened. Sam unpacked his small bag in the guest room across the hall. On the dresser, he placed the photo of his fellow Marines, men who had become family in the harshest places. He paused, staring at their smiling faces. "I'm doing something right," he murmured, as if telling them, "Finally." Later that evening, the Collins invited them to dinner, warm chicken soup, fresh rolls, and a slice of apple pie for dessert. Lily ate slowly, as if not used to meals without tension. Rusty curled beneath the table, eyes half closed but ears alert. Halfway through dessert, Henry reached for the remote. "Weather says another storm is coming tonight," he said. But instead of harsh news, the screen flashed with breaking updates. Police had located the abandoned black sedan linked to Derek. The anchors spoke of warrants, search teams, and a tightening net. Lily's fork paused mid-air. Does that mean he can't find us? Sam placed a gentle hand over hers. It means they're closer to catching him, he replied. And he won't hurt you ever again. Lily studied Sam's face. His voice didn't shake. His eyes didn't look away. She believed him. After dinner, Lily sat near the fireplace with Rusty, running her small fingers through his fur. Sam joined her, settling into a rocking chair with an old creak. Martha and Henry cleaned quietly in the kitchen, letting the night calm itself around the house. Sam? Lily asked softly. Yes, little star. Why did you help me? You didn't even know me. Sam leaned forward, elbows on his knees. Because once, a long time ago, I needed someone to help me. And someone did. They saved my life. I decided that day I'd spend the rest of my life repaying that kindness. He smiled, his beard lifting slightly. And now, I know why I ended up walking down your street today. Lily thought about that, hugging Rusty closer. Maybe my daddy sent you, she whispered. Sam swallowed, emotions thickening his voice. I think he did. Rusty's tail thumped once, approval given. Later, as Martha tucked Lily into bed, she brushed a stray hair behind the girl's ear. You're safe, she whispered. Sleep, darling. Tomorrow there will be sunshine. Lily slid beneath the blankets, the new bunny nestled beside her old one. She closed her eyes, and for the first time since her father died, sleep came without tears. Rusty curled at the foot of her bed, protective eyes slowly softening into rest. Down the hall, Sam lay awake just a little longer, listening to the peaceful sounds of a home healing itself. The fire crackled downstairs like a lullaby of warmth. Outside, snow finally stopped falling. Clouds parted to reveal stars, bright, unburdened stars, sprinkled across the night sky. One star in particular shone a little brighter than the rest, as if smiling down at the girl who once shivered alone in the cold. Now she was not alone. She would never be alone again. And in that safe house on the hill, where winter could not break the warmth within, hope finally came home. Sometimes, the greatest miracles don't arrive with angel wings or thunder from the sky. They come quietly, through the hands of a stranger, the loyalty of a dog, or the courage of a frightened child who refuses to stop believing in love. Lily's story reminds us that even on the coldest nights of life, God places a light along our path. One act of kindness, one helping hand, one faithful companion who refuses to leave. Perhaps you too have walked through seasons of fear or loneliness. But remember this: God never forgets his children. When the world turns dark, he sends hope, sometimes wrapped in fur, sometimes wearing an old soldier's coat, and sometimes living inside your own brave heart. If this story touched you, please share it with someone who needs hope today. Leave a comment to encourage others like this video to support our message. Subscribe for more true stories of faith, courage, and the miracles God works in everyday lives. May God bless you and your family with protection, warmth, and unexpected miracles, just like he did for Lily. Keep believing, keep hoping, and may his light guide you home.